Welcome to Mr. Horn's lecture for young adults. What's Wrong with Ibram X. Kendi, Episode 2, Assimilation. So we talked about Ibram X. Kendi and his ideas in this book in the last episode. And I want to go back. And I read you something, but now I've printed it out. So this is what Ibram X. Kendi says assimilation is. And Ibram X. Kendi believes that assimilation is a racist idea. And it's one of the old racist ideas. So imagine for a moment that you're a slave and you've just escaped, or you've been given your freedom. It's 1790, 1830, 1850, pick your year. And listen to what he says. See if I can get this right here. Are we getting this right? And abolitionists urged the newly freed people to go to church regularly, learn to speak proper English, learn math, adopt trades, get married, stay away from vices like smoking and drinking, and basically live what they would consider to be respectable lives. So think about this for a moment. Is this bad? I don't think so. I think if you've just escaped from slavery, you're going to have to change your ways. Being a slave was bad. It did bad things to you. You're going to have to change. You're going to have to learn how to read. That's one thing you're going to have to do. You're going to have to approach work differently and play differently. And you're going to have to change your culture. And remember, let's read this again from last week. Listen to what he says. The confines of enslavement were to producing black people who were intellectually, psychologically, culturally, and behaviorally different, not inferior. And I said, no, that's not true. They're behaviorally, culturally, probably psychologically. I don't know about intellectually. It depends on how you judge it. But when you were a slave, bad things, you had the wrong ideas about life. And you're going to have to learn new things. Learn to speak proper English, learn math, adopt trades, stay away from vices. Basically live what we would consider to be a respectable life. Now, how is that racist? Well, Ibram X. Kendi says, no, you can't tell people that their cultures are inferior. Everyone's just different, and that's ridiculous, of course. But it's even more ridiculous. Well, let me uncover something for you, because here we go. Ibram X. Kendi, that's not exactly what he said. I want to finish what he said, right? So they would, to be respectable, basically live like white people. And see, I'm going to argue, no. Going to church regularly, learning to speak proper English, learning math, and adopting trades, getting married, staying away from vices, is that what you think white people did in the 1830s? Oh my gosh, no. There was some hard drinking, hard smoking, spitting, tobacco spitting, gambling, cursing, fornicating people back then who were white. This is not a white or black thing. In the 1830s, 1820s, 1830s is when the Second Great Awakening comes, and there's a great call to temperance. One of the things that we had the beginning of the temperance movement, to stay away from alcohol. And that has nothing to do with black folk. All blacks are slaves. We're talking about white folk. But here's the thing that I really don't get it. I want you to listen to this. I didn't write this out, but listen to what. So, I have something for you to do. I have homework for you. I want you to reread this book. There is a secret villain. Ibram X. Kendi has a villain that he's very careful not to show. Let me just tell you, this guy's not white. He's black. Okay, and he's not. Well, listen to this. The hero of this book. One of the heroes of this book. There's a great hero. The second most important hero of this book is Malcolm X. And listen to this. Malcolm X stamped that he was for truth, not hate, truth and truth alone, no matter where it was coming from. Listen, his autobiography would become anti-racist scripture. It would become one of the most important books in America. So Malcolm X, he's a positive, right? I want you to reread this then. And Malcolm X urged black folk in America in the 1950s and 60s to go to mosque regularly, learn to speak proper English, learn math, adopt trades, get married, stay away from vices, smoking and drinking, and basically live what they would consider to be respectable lives. Not like white people, because Malcolm X, for most of his life, wanted to separate from white people. But Malcolm X knew what it took. You had to change your life, because Malcolm X, remember, was a bad person when he was young. He was involved in all sorts of crimes. He was in jail. And he knew you had to change your life. Now, I'm going to tell you who's not the villain. So I'm going to give you some hints on who's not the villain in this. I want you to read this. Listen to this. And these are people who accepted assimilation, and he's going to be unhappy with them. And I have to explain to you that racist and not racist can live in one person. For Ibram X. Kendi, he comes up with a strange definition of racism and anti-racism. Anti-racism is anything you do to stop the inequities between racism. And racism is anything that's not anti-racism. So he only has a binary. I think of racism as being on a spectrum, that you can be really racist, or you could be a little bit racist, or you could be not racist, or you could be super not racist. I've done a lecture before on this. But he says, no, it's binary. You're either racist or not racist. And actually, you can be both racist and not racist at the same time, because we have racist ideas and racist beliefs and racist actions, and people can do both. And so he'll say, listen to what he says. And Du Bois wasn't the only black man who believed that black men were bad. Booker T. Washington, the shining star of Tuskegee Institute, a college that cranked out black brilliance, believed this. And even a dying Frederick Douglass did. Now, part of what he's saying is, and part of the problem is, all those men believed in assimilation. They believed that there was a certain type of black person who was not good, and they needed to change their ways. They needed to become respectable. I don't know that any of them said you have to become white. And again, certainly Malcolm X wasn't wanting people to become white, but he was wanting people to become respectable. He was definitely saying you have to assimilate. So why is Ibram X. Kendi so against assimilation? That's a great question. And we've done 10 minutes, so come back for episode 3 and I'll explain the answer. I think that's going to be the final episode.